opportunity to give consulting on CSR. You've seen CSR from corporate social responsibility now to sustainability. Can you share your perspective of what has happened in the last decade or so?
Yeah, I think it's been an interesting journey because, of course, we always had a tradition in India of anyone who is healthy, individual or business, that it's part of giving back. So that's, I think, the tradition in which this whole thing started. So the CSR movement, in a sense, started, let's say, in the early 90s, mid-90s, or certainly mid-90s when I sort of got into this, was positioned initially around saying, okay, how do we engage with business? Because business plays a significant role in impacting lives of so many people. So can we engage with them in a manner where they can get involved? And the tendency was to look at it from a point of view of saying, of philanthropy. That was the sort of tradition. So when I got into it, or when some of us who were into this in the early days, we basically were saying, look, if the reason why we as civil society are looking at companies in terms of recognizing that their impact on poverty, essentially, can be both positive and negative, how can we engage and deepen this engagement beyond that philanthropy? So I think that's really the starting point of saying, let's look at it in a more strategic manner, strategic not only for the company, but strategic also for civil society and civil society as representing people. And that is the sort of discussion around it. So it moved from a fundraising agenda to an advocacy agenda. And saying your role is not just to, that it's not just important what you do with your profits, which is the philanthropic agenda, but how you make the profits in the first place. And so that move of trying to align it closer to the core business, that in the way you do run your business, the way you make your profits, you can actually do it in a manner which at the bare minimum does not cause harm, but you can actually move it to beyond that. So that's in a sense the sort of small sort of baby steps that is happening. And then obviously as time went on, it expanded to other issues, although it was always focused around communities, poor, and so on. But environmental issues started getting added because all those issues also started impacting the poor. The thing about environment impact is that it affects the poor while it affects everybody. It affects the poor disproportionately. So if you have water shortage, you and I can, still afford to buy water. But what does a person who's poor do? So environmental issues started coming in also because of its disproportionate impact on the poor. And that, in a sense, sort of evolving. So the environmental agenda came into this. At the same time, of course, we were not static. 90s was also the opening up of the Indian economy. There was more ideas coming in from overseas, mainly an environment agenda because, in a sense, the social issues in developed countries have been, to some extent or to a larger extent, taken care of. So I think there was an interesting intermingling of ideas, which then sort of naturally evolved into this whole sustainability space and started saying that therefore we need to look at this and look at it as core to business and also recognize that if that business link is not there, this will end up being only things that business do in good years, and that is not helpful to either people or the planet. So how do we build it around the fact that it needs to be seen from as a core business issue? And then that sort of, in a sense, is where we are, if you like, around sustainability and it being, people planning profits, it's been around responsible business, because the pressures started increasing from other stakeholders. Communities became more articulate and more demanding. Regulation started responding to this. Courts started thinking about these kinds of issues. consumers, not so much in India but elsewhere. But so multiple stakeholders started having expectations, and that's in a sense how it sort of morphed into the sustainability agenda. So that's, I think, the way I see this thing evolve. How this